know that we need to continue this battle of the bands with initiative petitions and referendums. We need leadership.
That's right.
We need our governor and we need our legislators to stand up and make some tough decisions. Did some research, folks, into what Florida did when they faced the very same issue that we are now facing. Florida legislature and Governor Ron DeSantis enacted House Bill 1205, a law impacting the citizen-led petition process. This legislation restricted signature gathering to Florida residents and U.S. citizens. Did you know, folks, that they bus people in from all over the place? There are people from every state in the union that get bused here and paid big dollars, and nobody stops them. Political committees to sponsoring one amendment at a time. Limits individuals to collecting only 25 signed petition forms aside from their own and immediate family members.
Oh, my.
Kevin, people around the kitchen table and talking over the fence. Their neighbors.
Yep.
The way it was supposed to be in 1908 when they put the initiative petition law on the Constitution. Anyone, paid or volunteer, who wants to collect more than 25 signed petitions, you have to give them your information and who's paying you and where you're from, and register and complete a state training program. No progressive initiative petitions have been passed in Florida in 2 years. Sometimes you lead and people will fall in line. Welcome, everyone, to the Patriot Project on Mugwump Media. Kevin, we're back finally. It's good to see you.
Well, it's good to see you. I haven't really missed you. I didn't realize I'd went anywhere.
We've been really busy. We've been extremely busy, folks. This is literally the first chance that we have had to do a podcast on the August 4th primary election. We've missed doing it. We've just been really busy. It's hay season, right, Kevin? Mm-hmm. And we've had a lot of other stuff going on with our business that we've had to deal with. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what happened on August 4th, the primary election. I know I've had several people kind of asking me what I thought about everything. I've had a little bit of time now. What has it been? Almost 2 weeks, a couple of weeks since it's happened. Mm-hmm. And, we had some disappointments. Honestly, there was some good stuff that happened too. And I'm going to share that with you. Some stuff and some people that I didn't even have on my radar, which is good. And so I'm gonna try to share some good news with you also, as well as kind of breaking down some of the stuff that happened. Now, the first thing that I want to remind you, Kevin, we need to remind them this is still Missouri. They want you to think that we are turning into Los Angeles or New York, but we're not. We're still a red state. Missouri is still the state that reelected Donald Trump by a margin in 2024 of 18.4%. Missouri still has a supermajority of Republicans in both the state house and the Senate, and all of the elected state leadership are members of the Republican Party. Although our supermajority's decisions don't always reflect that, and an awful lot of Missouri citizens often seem to be kind of asleep at the wheel, Kevin.
Maybe not just asleep, but a little confused. There's been a lot of...
oh, my gosh, yes.
A lot of strangeness, a lot of oddness, a lot of...
yes.
Well, let's just say there's been a lot of deceit.
A lot of foreign money coming in. And I've got George Soros. We've got George Soros money coming in. We've got tons of Washington, D.C. money in. 10 other states over the last, 2024, the abortion bill, the one that we ended up falling victim to, there were 10 other states that had the same one with basically the same stuff. These same entities from outside of the country, some of it. Was it Global? I had the name of it. The Global Impact Social Welfare Fund, Kevin.
That sounds like a problem.
Well, anyway, and anybody who votes, who watches these commercials that's paid for by all of these entities are falling victim and are listening to a bunch of lies. They truly are. It's crazy. Anyway, but yeah, confusion, Kevin. And, the thing is, we're actually hearing more Missouri citizens than like even 15 years ago that know what's going on nationally. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah. Nationals, we've got a lot of good news nationally.
Well, and
a lot of problems too. But
yes, and there's a lot of division too. But Trump has waken a lot of people up.
Yep.
And I think they're paying more attention nationally than I think I've ever seen them. But they're still not awake regionally in the state of Missouri and locally. And this is something we need you guys, pass this stuff around. Let people know what's going on and what they need to be watching for sure. And obviously those things need to change. Now, here are a few stats that I compiled for you guys over the last few days since the election. Now, first of all, there was as if you couldn't tell, there was an unusually high Democrat vote on this particular primary cycle, Kevin. And honestly, I think it's probably because of the massive turnout in Jackson County with Amendment 2. What happened was you had long lines in Kansas City. Kevin saw that. He's like, man, look at that. KY3, our local station, actually had somebody on site checking out all the long lines of voters. And there are a lot of Democrat voters in Kansas City also. Kind
of an urban thing.
Well, according to the Missouri Independent, which isn't so independent, Kevin, 520,000 Democratic ballots were cast on Tuesday, August 4th for these primaries, compared to 380,000 in the 2024 primary for governor. That is a difference of 140,000 ballots.
That's a lot of ballots.
Well, and it makes you wonder what was, well, okay, I'm not even going to go there and start spreading things, but it worries me because they've got those machines in Jefferson, in Kansas City.
Give John Kennedy a call and see if this is...
And I'm not going to start that rumor. I don't know that that's but it always makes you wonder and worry anywhere those machines are. Anyway, there was also a lot of attention to what Kevin was talking about, to Amendments 4 and 5, and a plethora, and I do mean a plethora, of negative and deceptive ads on TV and social media against Amendment 4. Nothing positive. Basically, anytime the state of Missouri puts up these referendums that they vote for, they agree on, our representatives, they put it on the ballot. And lo and behold, they just let it sit there and get beat up by all these people from Washington, D.C. and the Netherlands and George Soros. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of mom and pop and grandma and grandpa out in the country, they watched those commercials that said, "Keep Missouri, Missouri," and saw the people praying around the table, and they thought, we better, it's our patriotic duty to go vote against this Amendment 4. How many people told us that, Kevin?
Well, it was, you know what, if you talk to them just a little bit, it didn't take long to explain it. But boy, if you just watch the news and just listen to social media, you were obviously we got the results.
So confused.
We got the election results, and it's not that doesn't go with Missouri. That's not who we are.
No, and honestly, Kevin and I are not sorry that Amendment 5 failed because it had no plan. If you guys watched our interview with, it was in May, with Representative Lisa Durnell, a wonderful, wonderful gal from Howe County, and she talked a lot about it. That helped me understand when Lisa came and sat down and talked to us about it. And I mean, she made the comment about Amendment 4. She said, it's definitely not perfect. Lisa was a little bit upset because she felt like it was wrong that they held the rest of the citizens to a higher standard than they were willing to hold themselves as our representatives. That bothered her. I get that. And a lot of people felt that way. There were a lot of citizens groups that I watch and listen to that I normally agree with that felt the same way. They were a little upset. It's like, wait a minute, why are you holding somebody else to a higher standard than you? And what if everybody turns Democrat and then we've got you in control at 50% plus one? But I told Kevin, I said, you know what? We can vote their rears out. And if we all turn Democrat in Missouri, we have a much bigger problem than our initiative petitions, just saying. But anyway, there were a lot of people that were a little concerned about that, and I understand. There was some concern because they thought that the standard in general of having to win 8 districts, they were worried it would be too difficult. Well, what about Missouri? What about conservatives? What if we want to put something on the ballot? Well, here's the bad thing. There has not been a real grassroots citizen-led initiative petition that has been successfully placed on the Missouri ballot and won in like 50 years, Kevin. And I believe that was the Hancock Amendment. They can't afford it. The Missouri Farm Bureau shared something on Facebook, I think, that made that point well. They said most normal, down-home, real Missouri citizens, not these global social welfare people and people from Washington, D.C. and George Soros, most of them don't have multiple millions of dollars just laying around to finance a Missouri IP campaign in 2026 if you're a real Missourian, right? Around the kitchen table with your family.
Well, Netherlands is kind of maybe we ought to call it
his name?
Neverland.
Walter Kluers? I couldn't forget that name.
You said that wrong, I'm sure.
Walter's Kluers? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, and I understand.
I don't think it's a county in Missouri, the Netherlands. I'm pretty sure that's a foreign country.
Right.
Yes, they're not us for sure. I don't want them influencing our elections.
So I was totally understanding of why there were. The bad thing is on Amendment 4, not only were we battling against Democrats and against these terrible ads, we had a lot of conservatives that were concerned. So, and I think that worked against us in many ways. So it was a tough one for sure. And you know what? I remember what Lisa said, and this was very true. Lisa made the comment whenever we were talking about it in May. We both agreed. We agreed that it would have been better if they would have held themselves to the same standard. I agree with her on there. But, at some point you recognize the grim reality that the bleeding has to stop. What are they going to take on next? Is it going to be gun rights? In Oregon, they tried to put something at the same bunch. They tried to put an initiative petition. I don't know if it's going to make it on the November ballot or not, but they tried to pass an initiative petition law from out-of-state people that would ban hunting and fishing. And you couldn't butcher your own chickens or farm animals.
Breaking the law by butchering a chicken for Sunday dinner.
I know.
That doesn't sound like Missouri.
Not at all.
No.
We've got a friend that is from California, and he's like, good grief. He said, this sounds like how California started. So the bleeding has to stop at some point, and the question is, where do we go from here?
Killing chickens would be violating our Constitution.
I know. Our Constitution's being overloaded. I know. Being overloaded and destroyed with liberal policy that should have never been there. So something has to be done. I'm going to read this. Again, the Missouri Independent. Not so independent. But they do have some pretty good articles. This says historic defeats for Missouri GOP priorities raise questions. What comes next? Now, again, Kevin and I are not so sad that Amendment 5 went down in flames because I'm not sure who was going to be paying for that. I fear that some of my good friends might have been, and they can't afford it. I love this because it actually talks about history. This was from a gentleman named Rudy Keller. Dateline, Missouri, USA, at the October 9th, 1912 annual meeting of the Grand Lodge of the Anti-Horse Thief Association in Monett, Missouri, members passed a resolution denouncing a proposed constitutional amendment to restructure Missouri's tax system. Oh my, Kevin, this has happened before. Backers promised, this is so familiar. Backers promised that their proposal would ease the burden of government and fire up Missouri's economic engine by sweeping away almost all state and local taxes in favor of a property tax, that applied only to the value of land. Members of the Anti-Horse Thief Association weren't convinced. Neither were most Missourians. The amendment drew just 14.6% of the vote. More than a century later, Missouri voters came close to matching that rejection. 16.6% on August 4th voted yes. So pretty close. So here's the problem, said Mr. Rudy Keller. Amendment 5 asked voters to approve the elimination of a tax they understood without telling them what would replace it. They didn't have a plan. The amendment authorized lawmakers to expand the sales tax to goods and services that are now exempt from taxation, but it did not spell out which would be taxed or how high the rate would eventually go.
This is sounding familiar.
Oh, isn't it? Supporters promised the overhaul would be revenue neutral with new sales tax replacing money lost by eliminating income tax.
I'm thinking revenue neutral is a red flag.
Oh, it's Jefferson City insider talk, folks. And what it doesn't do is tell you who's actually going to pay for it, really. I think that the wealthier individuals would have gotten off the hook a little bit. Yeah, A5 left voters with too much uncertainty about who would ultimately pay more. So, Amendment 5 went down in flames, just like the one in Monette, right? Mm-hmm. Just like the proposed tax elimination scheme of 1912 from the Anti-Horse Thief Society. Mm-hmm. So what will the future hold for tax elimination in Missouri? That's the question. Rudy Keller says, here is what Representative Alex Riley, the possible future Missouri Speaker, said about a future tax cut amendment. Gosh, a little bit of word salad going on here, too. Mm-hmm. Republicans remain in favor of tax cuts, Representative Riley said. But if we were going to take another stab at something or another look at something in this income tax space, it's going to look very different, Riley said. Well, that's concise. Not sure what that means. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit. We talked a little bit about Amendment 4. Very sad. Should they have done it differently? I don't know. Would it have passed? Who knows? I think a lot of it has to do with our governor, the fact that nothing was put up to defend it. Here is what Rudy Keller, he was actually interviewing someone named John Hancock, who is a veteran GOP political consultant. The goal of Amendment 4, making it harder to amend the Missouri Constitution, is one that Republicans have pursued for more than a decade. Kevin, did you know that they have had the majority Republican for 24 years? 24 years, folks. Majority Republican House, Republican Senate. They've been a supermajority for 12 years, and yet they can't get this passed.
I think this is a reflection of a lack of consistency with what the citizens want and where we're at.
Well, it makes you think they don't want to pass it.
I hate to accuse them of not representing us, but it sure doesn't sound like Missouri.
No. Let's see. He felt like, this is what he said, that they should have required a higher statewide vote, like 60%. 50% plus one vote is weak, very weak. Mm-hmm. Some states have 60. Florida does. Several others do. As well as concurrent majority, which is what they did, But here's a statement made by a man named John Hancock, a veteran GOP political consultant. Here's what he said: requiring a citizen-led amendment to win in all 8 congressional districts, in his opinion, went too far. Hancock said Republicans could have different results if they return with a less restrictive proposal and enough money to defend it. He said, you need to make sure that you've got money assembled to run a supportive campaign, and you'd want to make sure that the standard of amending the Constitution would be widely considered a reasonable one. Say 60% of the vote, he said. If you had those 2 conditions in place, you could have a much different outcome. I don't know that 60% would do it, because remember whenever they raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and they're going to raise it, it'll be 20, it'll be 25. If this doesn't stop, it'll be 30. Where's it going to stop at? And of course, putting all the costs, all the paid time off and all this other stuff, hanging it on little business people like ourselves who can't even afford our own vacation pay. That'll come next. And I don't think 60% will do it with stuff like that, because everybody wants a raise and they don't know. They don't have any idea. I don't know. 60% would help. I think there's going to have to be some other stuff. He also said if you have money assembled to run a supportive campaign, if they put up a referendum to have money, which would help, because there were never any commercials that went against the negative ones. All they had was negative propaganda shooting everyone across the airwaves 24/7 for weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. And when you've got that, I mean, how do you really win? Because all these poor people in Missouri, they don't know what's going on in Missouri. They know what's going on nationally pretty much, but they don't know what's going on in Missouri. And all they're seeing is negative stuff. And keep in mind, too, that these groups, what is it called? Fairness Project, Respect Missouri Voters. What's the other one? People Not Politicians. These are all paid for by the same thing, folks. They're terrible. They're not Missourians. They are now coming after Denny Hoskins. They are seeking to weaken our legislature further by making it to where if they get these horrible things passed, like the old Amendment 3, they can't go back and fix them. That's what they're trying to do. They actually put up a lawsuit against Denny Hoskins. They're very emboldened by what happened on August 4th. On Tuesday, Hoskins declared both because they're trying to get something on the November 3rd ballot, and Hoskins said no. They're actually trying to mess with the redistricting that we did too, which constitutionally the legislature has the right to do. They're trying to take it away from the legislature.
So who's defending the Constitution?
I'll tell you who is. Mm-hmm. Denny Hoskins and, surprisingly enough, Attorney General Catherine Hanaway.
Isn't that the oath that they've all taken?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these two are doing it. Let's see. On Tuesday, Hoskins declared both the Respect Missouri Voters Initiative and referendum seeking to overturn Missouri's new congressional map insufficient. And, of course, they sued that day. In an email, I love this. He's the guy that wants hand counting, too. I love Denny Hoskins. You guys should email him and tell him how much you love that. That's a great thing. In an email statement Thursday afternoon, Hoskins said he is simply protecting the Missouri Constitution from special interest groups funded by out-of-state sugar daddies who want to turn Missouri into New York City or Los Angeles. There you go. That's Denny Hoskins.
I like plain language.
Me too. Missourians can rest assured that under my watch, he said, I will always do everything in my power to protect us from outside attacks aimed at interfering with our rule of law.
That's a pretty clear statement. There's no double talk there.
Yes. Now, this was a couple of days after. I have not seen anything recently. It takes a while to work through this stuff through court. But we'll be watching. Hoskins said that the proposal violated constitutional requirements. Listen to this. How many times have we said this? Requirements limiting initiative petitions to a single subject.
Oh, my.
And changes to a single article of the Missouri Constitution.
We might even be able to understand what it says.
He's going back to the basics.
Very
good for him. And he's sticking to his guns. Mm-hmm. His decision relied on a legal opinion from his Attorney General Catherine Hanaway, who also argued parts of the proposal impermissibly restricted future legislators, basically weakened them, and raised questions, listen to this, under the U.S. Constitution's guarantee of a Republican form of government. In other words, folks, no direct democracy, no mob rule, according to Catherine Hanaway. And I hope she sticks to her guns and helps him in this. I don't know that anybody else is, but we need to know that this is going on. This is a battle going on behind the scenes. But they're trying to overturn our initiative or our redistricting, which they don't have the right to.
No.
But they are emboldened. That's what's going on right now. So in the remaining time that we have, Kevin, I'm just going to throw out a couple of things. I don't know that we need to continue this battle of the bands with initiative petitions and referendums. It's like a tennis game, back and forth, back and forth. We need leadership.
That's right.
We need our governor and we need our legislators to stand up, put their big girl and big boy pants on, and make some tough decisions. And they're going to have some people angry at them. But you know what? Sometimes you lead and people will fall in line. I did some research, folks, into what Florida did when they faced the very same issue that we are now facing. In 2024, the same year in which Missouri's abortion law was passed, 10 other states, I told you this, had passed basically had the same IPs placed on their ballots. That's what it was. They had the same abortion IPs placed on their ballots after Roe versus Wade was overturned. Florida beat theirs because they have a 60% requirement to pass initiative petitions in their state. That was what did it, because they had more than us. They had 57% of their voters, but because they have a higher threshold, then they beat theirs. Now, that wasn't the end. That was saying sick 'em to a dog to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a leader extraordinaire.
Yep.
You know what he did, Kevin? Following the 2024 election, the Florida legislature and Governor Ron DeSantis enacted House Bill 1205, a law impacting the citizen-led petition process. This legislation did the following things: restricted signature gathering to Florida residents and U.S. citizens. Did you know, folks, that they bus people in from all over the place? There are people from every state in the union that get bused here and pay big dollars, and nobody stops them.
Employees of organizations that want to tear our Constitution down.
The reason we know this is we've asked them, and so has our daughter. They're from everywhere. This would restrict it to actual citizens. Number 2, limit petition activity. It capped political committees, these horrible, like Respect Missouri Voters and People Not Politicians. They just shower all this stuff. They go after everybody at once and put several things on the ballot, limiting political committees to sponsoring one amendment at a time. Collection caps. This is one of my favorites. It limits individuals, and these have to be residents of Florida here, limits individuals to collecting only 25 signed petition forms aside from their own and immediate family members.
Oh, my.
Kevin, people around the kitchen table and talking over the fence, their neighbors.
Yep.
The way it was supposed to be in 1908 when they put the initiative petition law on the Constitution. Going back to that. And guess what? If you are very industrious and decide that you want to do more, this law requires anyone, paid or volunteer, who wants to collect more than 25 signed petitions to register with the state as a petition circulator. Well, guess what? You have to give them your information and who's paying you and what you're doing and where you're from. And you also have to register with Florida and complete a state training program.
I'm liking the sound of that. General Flynn, this is accountability.
Tightens deadlines. Chop, chop. Get in there and get your petitions.
Yep.
Jump out of your car, run around, pick them all up, and get them in, because you don't have very long to get them in. Shortens the time frame to submit signed petitions to local election supervisors. Penalties. Oh no. It imposes strict fines and potential criminal penalties for technical or clerical errors made during collection. Could get in trouble.
More accountability.
And there's more. I have like 2 pages in this article I got. Progressive advocacy groups challenged the law in court. Very upset, stating that the new regulations made grassroots campaigns prohibitively expensive, Kevin, nearly impossible to run.
Oh, my.
However, a federal judge upheld the restrictions this year in 2026. And guess what, Kevin? No progressive initiative petitions have been passed in Florida in 2 years.
Excellent.
Finally, one of the best things that Governor Ron does, I'm telling you folks, we need to give this to your legislator and tell them, we want this.
Yes.
Not the junk that they have been giving us. One of the best things that Governor Ron DeSantis and the legislature did is to kick out the lobbyists from the Florida State House. And boy, howdy, do we need that. In May of 2022, he signed ethics legislation that extended the post-service lobbying ban for former lawmakers, agency heads, judges, and statewide executive agency heads up to 6 years. That means when they get done with their job, they'll have to either find another job or go get on welfare or something.
Interesting.
But basically, they're not going to be able to immediately get a sweet deal and go in and start working as a lobbyist. Because you know what, folks? Where bribery and corruption exists, the people's business cannot truly flourish.
That's right.
And boy, do we have lobbyists and all kinds of stuff like this. Again, we need leadership. We need our governor and legislature to they need to throw down the gauntlet. They need to put some consequences in action, some alligators in the moat around our Missouri Constitution, Kevin.
Agreed.
So here's your good news for the day. And I'm going to leave you with this. This is a letter. This gave me joy. And I want it to give you joy too. This is a letter that I found online from Shield Maidens of Missouri. The author is a 28-year-old firebrand named Sophie Shore. She's the CEO and founder of a company called Missouri Mavericks Strategies. She is a Republican strategist, and she is up and coming. She was 24 years old whenever she unseated, 26. She was 26 years old when she took over as the chairman of the Missouri Republican State Convention. She was elected by state delegates from all over Missouri. She unseated a chair that was a deep stater. He'd been in that position for decades. Here's the letter, parts of it. A note from the founder and CEO of Missouri Mavericks. What does it mean to be a maverick? The term maverick is a purely American term originating in the 19th century. The term was coined after Samuel Augustus Maverick, a man who refused to brand his cattle. Those unbranded cattle, they called them mavericks. I've loved this country and the state of Missouri my whole life, from speaking at Tea Party rallies as a tween. A tween, Kevin, not even a teenager. And let me tell you, the people that she has in her organization, there's 18-year-olds and 20-somethings that are doing all this.
Yep.
To organizing pro-life hearings, to running statewide campaigns, to taking over the state convention, my life has always been about the people of this state, my people. Missourians deserve the best leadership, and they aren't getting it. I've seen many acquiesce to the pressure of Jefferson City, losing sight of their campaign promises and ultimately losing custody of themselves.
Yep.
And boy, have we seen that pretty close. MoMav Strategies was built as an alternative to the establishment racket. We run campaigns for principled conservative Republicans, and our one request is this: remain unbranded. Remain unbranded. Remain sovereign. Remain free. And do right by the ordinary people of this state.
Yes.
Become a Missouri Maverick.
Yes.
That's my battle cry for today. Just so you know, she ran as a youngster. She's so young. She's Charlie Kirk in the making. She ran Bill Eigels' race for governor and narrowly lost to tens of millions of dollars against a fraction of what was raised by Kehoe. She ran Mike Moon's first race for Senate. And against all odds and piles of money and a deeply entrenched Republican establishment candidate, the race was won by Mike Moon. She ran Jill Carter, her race for Senate, and ran against somebody, an incumbent with deep pockets, and she got in, was victorious in her race. And I'm going to tell you, they actually ran 6 insurgent candidates, is what they call themselves. And out of all those 6, 4 of them won. They've got some firebrand senators that are coming in.
Yep.
Folks, this is good. We need to pray that they remain unbranded.
Yes.
And be mavericks.
Be leaders.
The old ways aren't going to work, folks. It's time for new ideas, fresh faces, and a strong shot of courage.
Amen.
Amen. Folks, thanks for joining us this week. If we disappear for a couple of weeks, don't be scared or think we've run off. It's a busy time of year, and like I said, lots of stuff going on at our property. We'll be back again soon with more conversation, more news, and hopefully more encouragement to keep you informed, inspired, and always independent. God bless.